it's yours.
Okay, hi. Thank you very much. Okay, I go by Hal, Harold, Sensei, dumb shit, it doesn't matter. I go by just about anything, okay? I have 3 boys. I've been called like every name in the book, okay? I doubt you'll hear anything new, so that's fine. Just shout out if you need something. All right. What we're going to talk about is defense against multiple assailants. Right? We spend most of our time in practice. Can I just take you for a minute? Okay. Spend most of our time, I'm facing him, he's facing me, and it's, if you will, a fair situation, even though in reality it's not, because he's not going to attack me if he isn't bigger, stronger, younger, somehow doesn't think he's got some edge, some advantage, right? In real life it doesn't work that way. I could be over here talking to Barry and, you know, that's when he's going to come jump me. Or they could be working together and there could be multiple, right? That gives them that edge that they're going to want to attack you. So we're going to focus now on the multiple. All right? And you're going to see that the concepts are the same as the concepts that you'll learn that you are learning and have learned when it's a single kind of thing, but the application of them is very important. So the first thing I want you to do is get in groups of 3. Instead of pairs, we're going to do 3s. Okay? Some might call them a threesome. I will not. So just get in a 3, and then you 3 or 2. So you'll go there for 3, okay, and then just get in one and you be a 4th, and it's fine. Okay.
I'll rotate in after.
Okay. All right. So because what we're going to do, obviously you could be attacked by more than 2 people at once. But we're going to focus today in the time we have on 2 people, because 3, 4, 5, all that does is multiply the difficulties, but the multiple concept is the same. Okay? So what I want you to do now is, can I just take the 2 of you? And you 2 guys are my attackers, you're multiple attackers. We're going to be facing each other. They're approaching me, or they've got me trapped or cornered. Now, the key I want you to focus on before anything else is co-opt before you commit. Key message. Co-opt before you commit. And what that means is that if, let's say he's attacking me and he's closer, and I commit to him, this guy is going, I may do a great job. Okay, man, I'm going to throw him in a goshi and he's gone. Meanwhile, I throw this guy in a goshi, this guy cleans my clock. Okay? That doesn't help me at all. Because my goal is what? Is my goal to beat these guys or to survive? My goal is to survive, right? I got nothing to prove, right? My goal is to survive. So before I can commit to him, I have to co-opt him into being my helper against him. Or maybe this is the first guy with the attack, and I co-opt him into being my helper against him. Can you attack me now? Why not? Because he's now my friend against you. Now he may be my enemy against me, but he's my friend against you. So before I commit, I have to somehow co-opt. And when there are multiple, when there are more than 2, when there's 3, 4, you've got to commit. If there's 3, you've got to co-opt 2 of them before you can commit to the 3rd. Which it's like an exponential level of difficulty. Which is why, do you remember the movie Billy Jack? Right. Well, there's one of the old martial arts movies. Billy Jack, Tom McLaughlin or something was Billy Jack, and he was this big karate expert, and he gets jumped by all the a bunch of townspeople, and at the end of the day, you see like 8 or 9 of them laying all out because he's laid them out, but there's a number still standing, and they're just pounding away on him, and he's toast. Okay, because this is not fair. They do have the advantage. The more of them there are, the more difficult it makes. He knocked down 8 or 9, still wasn't enough. Okay, we're going to focus on 2 and see how things work with it. So what I want you to do to start is that we're going to do it as fair, quote, fair for the Tory as we can make it, where the 2 assailants are together. Okay, and It doesn't matter which one of you starts. You guys can plan it. You guys can coordinate it to come at the same time. I don't care. But what I want you to do is work with however it works. And the ukis go slowly. And trust me, it'll be confusing for the tori even slowly at first. But the ukis go slowly, and as they attack, you need to do something to co-opt the first person before you can commit to the next. Okay? You have to do something to co-opt that first person. So, the things to focus on with this, just to give you a few hints, no, just come here so I can show you, is if one of them's attacking, and normally if it's one-on-one, and it's, say, you know the kind of the general rule, if it's a round kind of attack, you know, you go inside. If it's a straight kind of attack, you go outside, right? Sort of a general rule, right? I mean, rules are meant to be broken, so, but kind of the way you first order cut on things. If he gives me a roundhouse with this hand, and I go inside, I'm in real big trouble. So think about, how do I use that first attack, or how do I create, as we say in Kenjutsu, a suki, a weakness? How do I create that weakness, that opening, that I can co-opt that one person so I can commit to the other? Not going to say anything more. Have fun with it. Except ukis go slowly, right? And what I want you to do is, if there's groups of 4 of you, do one person sit out, two people attack the third, and then just keep rotating it around with only 2 assailants, even though there may be 3 of you in this, 4 of you in this, only 2 assailants until everybody's had a chance to experience it for a little bit. Okay? Okay, I want this guy, as this guy grabs me, this guy, now slowly. I want you to do it slowly. Okay? You need to do that now. I want you to bend over, because I've given you a good shot. I mean, in real life, I've given you a good shot. Okay? But obviously, I want to be protective of him. And then, as you come down, it switches right into it. Don't come down and go 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now it's time for this guy. It's boom, boom, switches right into it. Boom. And then take him across as this guy starts to get up. This is now, you see what I'm saying, where hopefully they'll go into each other. And as I go, boom, 45 into it, he might even block him from falling, which just makes his break worse. Mm-hmm. Okay? I was explaining to somebody with the reason you set all this up, because realistically, when I'm, no, just ignore for a second. When I'm here, if I throw him this way, I probably can break his wrist. Okay? The reason I set all this up is I not only want to be more than probably, I want to destroy his wrist and hopefully cause some extra damage up into here, give him some more to think about, cause a little separation in these 2 long bones there, and really cause some problems as I'm doing this. So I have that time, because I've given this guy the good shot. I continue to co-opt him so he doesn't have his balance. So let it happen. Do everything you can to put him out before this guy comes to his feet. Knock him all down, and if you can run, run. If not, that first guy that you kicked, you got to go after him. And the exact way you go after him is going to depend on the exact angles of the positions and how that second person falls when you throw him and all that, which I can't program for you right now, but your training will tell you what to do if you just listen to it, in that situation. Okay, so go ahead, and I want you to, now, I'm sorry, the one who's throwing that punch, notice the way this works, the way these guys have it programmed, is he grabs and he punches. Not a whole lot of time between it. So I don't want you waiting. I want you to go slowly, but I don't want you waiting. He grabs, he punches, boom. I don't have all that time. Boom, 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 boom. I don't have a lot of time. Doesn't mean I have to go fast, but I want the attack somewhat coordinated so you feel the realism. Okay? All right? So it's not, I don't want you to treat it as 2 separate attacks. It's one attack with 2 separate people. Okay, Hajime. Habits die hard, okay? And the key is always co-opt before you commit, and no matter how many different rotations you have to do into it. So if I can take my 2 ukis again, right? So if he punches me, boom, and I want to break it and then take him, now he's co-opting him, I still don't want to turn my back to him because he may come back. So when I do this, I may have to take him kazuri it a little bit, modify it, take him off so that he's there. And then if the broken arm guy is not sufficiently distracted,
Not the other.
yeah, exactly. I'll be here where I still used him to block the other person out. It might not have been the move I might have wanted to do. When he came in with that roundhouse here, I might have actually, preferred an ippon, but that would not have been good because that would have put me to him. Okay? If I were going to do the ippon here, it would have to be this way after breaking his arm and then throwing him in an ippon, right? Okay? Because if I take it across this way, I can do the ippon, right? We all know that, right? As long as I continue to take it across. He can't fall very well. That's not my problem. Okay, I've got to always never turn my back to the other person. Keep the use the one person against the other. Okay, very difficult. Takes a lot of practice with yourselves or with your students back at your dojos, whatever it is that you're doing. Practice it a lot. And even though we went slowly, it still got confusing after the first little pieces because we got to program those brains. Okay, so. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take it in a little bit of a different position because attacks don't always come with these two people in front. And in fact, the one time I was attacked by multiple assailants, two guys, okay, it didn't come this way. They'd obviously planned this, done this before. It had worked successfully for them. I was with another, I was probably... I'm going to guess maybe about a knee down at the time or something like that. And I was with another guy who was a brown belt. We had just gone to the movies in an area of town that was close to his house, so he wanted to go there. I always thought the area was a little sketchy, but against my better judgment, which is another thing we ought to learn, is never suborn our better judgment because things don't always work out very well when we do, right? I went to the movie theater. We were thinking about the movie after the movie was over. It was dark out. We were headed back to the car. We were maybe like 15 minutes away, each kind of lost in our thoughts on the movie. It was kind of a thought-provoking sort of movie. Some of you may not realize this, but I'm probably not the biggest, strongest guy you've ever seen. And that is noticeable to some people. So I'm a good mark. Okay? I'm a good mark. You're a good mark. Right? I'm a good mark. So one of the things you need to do is, and this is whether it's multiple assailants or anything, always pay attention, right? And I saw these two, I'll just call them misguided youths, all right? I'm going to guess they're 18, 19 years old, somewhere right around there. And the small guy came towards me and made himself very obvious, obviously intended to distract me. The big guy went around and did a big circle. He was going to grab me from behind when the small guy distracted me, right? But if you're aware of your surroundings, you know what's going on, and this happened, and my first thought was, oh my God, I cannot believe this, right? But the smaller guy, who was about my size, came up. The bigger guy was, bigger than Barry, whatever, but he was around there, and the small guy comes up and he goes, so he's looking like he's got a watch, but he's saying gibberish to really focus me. I mean, these guys practiced. These guys, it was impressive. These guys practiced, right? And all I did was I said, Ron, this one's yours. Ron was my friend. And I pointed directly at the guy who was probably still about 10 feet away. I said, he's mine. Except when I did this, I called up my ki, which is what you should do with every move. I said, I looked at this guy in front of me. I said, this one's yours. He's mine. He's mine. He's mine. I called up my ki and I said, he's mine. Okay? This guy here couldn't run fast enough. This guy here saw me point to him and knew something wasn't right. When this guy ran off, he figured something was wrong, and he went back, and they went back to their starting position. Okay? It was kind of like when you jump the gun in a swim meet, everybody's got to get back on the starting blocks. All right? And Ron, at that point, looks up and says, "What? Huh?" Because I had called him. He had no idea what was going on. All right? And he's like, "Huh? What?" So, at any rate, the point of the story is, it's 2 points. One, always be aware. Number two, life isn't fair. They're not going to come at you front-wise, or they may not. So we need to think about, how do we co-opt when before we commit, when they're behind. So we've got the two guys. Okay, if you're in front, why don't you just give me a bear hug? We'll just start it with this. Now, hold on for a second, just so I can talk here for a moment before you clock me. No, you can hold on. Just don't squeeze, because I want to be able to talk. I'll let you squeeze in a moment, because I know, we love each other, and so that's fine. So, am I going to be able to move and maneuver and get out of the way of this guy? Okay. So, is there a way I can co-opt him before I commit to him? I don't know. It's hard to co-opt a fist that you're coming to your face. It really is. It's just kind of hard to do that. So, in reality, who's the easier person or the better person for me to co-opt? Who do you think? Him? Right. So now if he grabs hard, don't go yet, because I want to talk about how to co-opt him. Okay. Yeah, grab. Just go ahead. You can squeeze now. Just real hard. Hard as you can. That's okay. It won't break the ribs. There we go. So the harder he grabs, which is the guy's going to really grab hard so that this guy has got a good solid shot, and his adrenaline's pumping, and boom, he grabs. What happens when I do this? What happened? Describe it.
It's much harder to grab.
Well, it's harder. Can you move?
It's bigger.
Can you move?
A little bit. Just, yeah.
Only by letting go, right?
Yeah.
But you're squeeze. Right now you're trying to learn as well, so it's not as good a commitment, but just squeeze and stay committed. What happened? You're planted, aren't you?
Yeah.
He's planted. I've used this guy, and what happens to me is, hold on one more second, when he squeezes, I'm off balance. It pops me up, I'm off balance. If I'm going to try to do something, can I do anything? There's no way I can do it, because I don't have control of myself, and before I can control someone else, I got to have control of myself. But if he squeezes and I accept that squeeze, what happened? I accept that squeeze, I have my balance, and he comes in. Now, one advantage is feet are longer than arms. Feet are longer than arms, and I've got this guy here who is now my co-opter, because he's giving me balance and stability by getting into Jigo Hantai. Boom. I've got that before he can come in. It's a straight line, and it's longer than his. Watch this. See this? It's longer. So when he comes in with this, it's in there. Right? Then, what do I do with this guy? Do I want to try to get a finger? Hold on, give me a finger, because I just want to show this. And turn around and do something with this guy? Exactly not, because I can't turn my back to him. Right? So that may be the thing we want to do, right? That may be the thing we want to do. You could do the knuckle. You like the knuckle? Knuckle hurts, doesn't it? And then do something. I got to be on this side of him. So what I want you to do from here is, first, Uki has to squeeze, as he squeezes, don't fight it, accept it, because his kazushi is kind of crossing, at least from his arms, is crossing this way and into you. So roll with it into you as you roll into Jigo Hantai, and as he comes in and punches, boom, what is that? A front snap kick. Hi. Front snap kick, stomach, groin, whatever, okay? It's a quick kick. It's longer than his arm. And then take your, a knuckle. Take this knuckle right on the middle part of his hand. It hurts, doesn't it?
It's a lot.
And it really pops the hand right out. Pops it right out. But here's what I need to do now. Instead of doing what I want to do, which is kind of come back, this way with a wrist move and, do something here, which puts my back to him, what I want to do here is take this, turn this halfway. What is this? The fleshy part up, thumb down. Turn it halfway. Then, what is this? Kind of the webbing, the bridge here between your thumb and whatever. Right here on this side of the wrist, this comes up as this curls in so I can get under. Okay? And I need to keep between us, so the best way, because I'm still, hold on, I just want them to see the angle. And because we're not between us, the best thing for me to do here is I change my position one hand at a time so I still have the control. Okay? Change my position. And I'm actually going to break his wrist as I propel him in a throw that direction so this guy can't get me. Okay? So, he grabs. Accept the grab. Embrace the dark side. You can coordinate with him. So he's going to grab and you're going to punch, because you know to punch right after he's got the solid grab, right? So okay, here. I've got the position. By the time he recovers, I'm out of the way. He's blocking. Boom, he's gone. Then I'm ready for this guy, and I got my one-on-one. As long as I stay away from where this guy went. Height? Okay. Any questions? How do you co-opt that first guy? Any questions about that? Okay, so what I want you to do now, get into your groups. The first thing I want you to do, and only this, is co-opt the first guy. I want to make sure you're comfortable with that co-opt before we go to the next part of using that, because then it starts getting complicated. And if at any point I lose that co-opt, then all of a sudden I got him as an active enemy behind me. Did you notice I was here the whole time, even when I did this, and this? I don't lose that co-opt. So, hi, yes?
So if he's super big and he's like planted, like you said, can you, to give this guy a good swift double kick, can you get up at your pelvis and just give him 2 feet? Or is it just better just to give him one shot?
I'm doing one shot. Because what happens here, and by the way, hold on a second. To me, this guy is super big, by the way. Okay, so what happens here is when I do this, if I kick, I still have the co-opt, but when I move here to do this, what happened to you when I did that, when I moved from foot to foot?
You
got looser.
Squeeze, yeah.
It got easy. He got his balance back for that fraction, and a guy who's really aware is going to do something to me.
And what I meant was 2 feet at the same time kicking.
Oh,
that's totally out.
I see. Hi, a double kick?
Yeah.
You can. The reason I don't like that in this situation is I don't know what's going to happen next.
So you want
it may cause him to totally lose his balance, and if he does, if I do a double kick, boom, and if he loses his balance and I lose mine, I'm on the ground. I've got for sure one guy who's bigger than me, because it's always the bigger guy who's going to come and grab you from behind, and it's just the way life is, okay? And he may not be out, and now I'm down on the ground with less mobility and 2 people.
Got it.
So the kick itself, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's just not
It puts you in a bad situation.
correct. I lose my ability to co-opt. Height. Okay, so any other questions? Let's just get the co-opt. When I can see that we've got this co-opt, okay, does anyone want to feel it? Anybody? Hey? No, not here. I've got to be in. Yeah, there you go. Good. Nice and tight. If I just go here, are you co-opted? No, you still got it. Yeah. But if I go, what happened?
Okay.
What happened?
I'm being planted even more.
Hi.
Okay,
So you actually become part of the kick.
got it.
Okay, so that there's less spring back. Okay, I want everybody to be comfortable with that before we, or at least it'll take 10,000 repetitions before you're comfortable, but at least have the concept down before we get to the next little piece. Hey, now whichever wrist is on top. Okay, most people will grab this way, but some will grab this way. It doesn't matter. Whichever way you're more comfortable with. Yeah, I know. Take, as I keep this, so I keep him planted, it actually adds more tension onto that. Take your knuckle, if you can, it's great to make this little goose egg punch. Have you ever done that into the throat and stuff like that? Make that little goose egg punch, but if not, just wait, don't fall yet. I haven't done the rest of my move. Damn it. Come on. I hate it when they do that.
Because you're talking too long.
Oh, okay. Here, comes in here. That will free you up, guaranteed, okay? Take this, because even though I want to turn out this way, that puts my back to him. Take this, turn it. So the flesh is up, thumb is down. And so I'm here. This, as I turn it, I feed it into this web. Notice I'm not grabbing. I'm really not even grabbing here. I'm just feeding. If I grab, what happens? Yeah, he's stable. If I grab here, what happens? He's stable. If I do both grabs, what happens? He's stable. Yeah, right. But here, take it out. Now, as I take it out, I don't leave him here and back myself up because there's no kazushi there. I accept and continue him. Now, from right here, okay, I take this. It is so counterintuitive, but it'll take him right into him. I now, instead of having my thumb on the back part of his hand, my thumb from this angle with this straight up, my thumb is on the flesh, and this comes in exactly the opposite, and I'm going to torque at about 45 degrees that way as I step through. You got to be really careful because you will break the person's wrist like that. You will just snap like that, and that allows him hopefully to fall onto the other guy, but at least to continue to block him. So if this guy's recovering from that front snap kick, which he may, depending on how much you got into it, right? I'm now ready, or hopefully I can find that door and hightail it out of here. No shame in running. First move I learned in martial arts 41 years ago was a move that involved a 180-degree turn, and every muscle in my body was called the pivot and run. Okay? Very first move I learned. Okay, little aside, what's the difference between self-defense and a martial art? Anybody know the difference? Martial art, you're walking with your girlfriend, your wife, or your boyfriend, or whatever it is, right? And somebody comes up and threatens you, put her behind you, do the best you can to take care of the situation and protect her. That's martial art. Self-defense, you're walking with her, somebody comes up to in front of you, throw her in front of him to help you get away. Okay? This is a self-defense. Okay? So, back it is. What can I say? So,
You can't share any of that.
I'm going to tell my wife that when I get home.
That's going to get us in a lot of trouble. They're not going to look.
no, you can tell her that you spent a class learning self-defense. You don't have to say what that means. Okay? It's when you say what that means that you get in trouble, I've often found with my wife. So, does everybody get the second piece? Okay? So what I want you to do now is get in your pairs again and do just that second piece. Give the kick to the air, and then do just the second piece. And then we're going to come back and put it together where you really have this person in front of you who's going to recover from that front snap kick. So you better not turn your back to that person. Okay?
That hand change again?
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Which can you grab me again? Barry loves it when I do this. Barry loves it when I do this. Okay, so I got to keep in this position. He's got this here. Boom. See that? This will automatically almost bring it into that position just by the simple act of pushing into it. This holds it so it doesn't get away, right? Take this, what happens? I actually don't even have to slide behind him, but I'm going to, because the more distance I can put here, that actually helps me. Okay? Did you see the hand change, or was that too fast?
No, the second one.
Okay. Boom, boom, boom. From here, now, I was here. Hey?
Yep.
Keep this pressure, keep this angle. I could take him anywhere I want at this point. Hey? Keep that angle. Take this underneath, again, above the wrist. And I can put this thumb here as the backwards. I can do it here as long as I'm above the wrist. Here. You uncomfortable?
No, I'm okay.
And if I took you this way, what would happen?
I would have broken.
Okay? All I did, I can't do it too much because it really will break in. If I move it this much, it really will break. So you have to be so careful with your uke. All I did was I took it diagonally this way. I have him up, height in good position. This comes diagonally. I rotate it diagonally this way around the wrist. not around the shoulder, not even around the elbow. Right here around the wrist. It really gets you, doesn't it? Oh, yeah. And as I do that, step this way, he's going over here. That guy I kicked might even be getting up, and with luck, he'll hit him as he goes over, if I'm lucky. If not, I've at least got them between, and now I'm ready. Oh, good door, good move. I'm gone. Okay, but if not, I'm ready. I've still not compromised my position for that guy who's getting up now. Height? Is that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so for right now, get back into your pairs. That's a good idea. Get back into your pairs and make sure you have him, continue to have him co-opted now. That first thing that we did about co-opting, and then give him the old knuckle routine. Now, co-opt before you commit. Okay? Then you do that move to the first person because you've co-opted. What's number 2? Co-opt before you commit. When you're doing that second person, never lose track of the fact that that first person is still there, and you haven't had time to personally inspect that first person, so you don't know for sure that he's down and out. What's number 3? Co-opt before you commit, right? Because now after that second person, you don't know exactly what kind of shape they're going to be in. Everything always changes, right? And one thing always in the back of your mind, this is self-defense, not martial arts. Get the heck out of here if you can. All right? The minute it's safe to do so, it's generally not safe to turn and run on somebody while they're still in good shape, because while you're turning, they're grabbing and all this kind of bad stuff. But if you've got them down and groaning as they get to their feet, and you've got a good opportunity to get away to a nice public place where people can see and things can happen, run like hell. If not, keep co-opting before you commit until something happens. Now, we don't have much time, but unfortunately, life has a way of being extremely unfair. Okay, I think there's a rule that says, actually a couple rules. Number 1, nobody ever gets attacked when they're ready for it. Okay? And rule number 2 is, nobody ever gets attacked when they're having a really good day. It's just, that's the way life is. So, while I told you before you don't want to be down on the ground, and we don't have time to do a lot with down on the ground, I want you to get a feel for co-opting before you commit down on the ground. Somebody may have surprised you, can I borrow my favorite ukis here again? And taking you down to the ground, like this guy may pick me up and toss me down to the ground. Now, hold on for a second because I want to talk. Okay. They're ready to pound on me. These guys are enthusiastic. Yeah, exactly. And that's what they'll do. Absolutely. Now, rule number 1 about being down on the ground, okay, is never get up until it is completely safe to do so. And if you have any doubts, don't get up. Because the worst place to be, being on the ground is the second worst place to be. Being in transition is the worst place to be. Okay? So, what do I want to do down on the ground? Again, co-opt before I commit. Okay? So let's take the worst situation where one's on each side. So I can't try to get away from one to get to the other. Okay? Now the one advantage I have, and by the way, this came up last night when one of the students I was doing Ganseki Otoshi, a move from a grab from behind and whatever, and one of the students, wanted to totally set himself up, get in a totally defensive, position, so I couldn't do Ganseki Otoshi, and said, now what are you going to do? Well, you do something else, right? Okay? But one of the things I did say during that whole point is, this is not a position you want to be in. Okay? Just to prove how good Ganseki Otoshi is, you don't want to say, okay, come on, go ahead and grab me and put me in a choke, because I can show you how this works. This is not a position you want to be in. So, you do not want to be here with these two guys. Let's get more in the middle of the mat. You do not want to be here with these two guys here. So, what happens is, one of them most likely will be first. Now, both of you come over here and try pounding on me. Not hard, because I don't want to. It's really hard. It's kind of hard because they get in each other's way a little bit. So one guy tends to take the lead. Like right here, this guy's taking the lead, and he defers. What's your name again? Peter. Peter defers to Barry and takes his shots whenever he can without interfering with Barry. Did you feel yourself conscious of not messing up, with not getting in Barry's way and not hitting Barry and all that? Right? And you were trying to feed in to wherever you could with Barry, right?
Right.
Now, were you worried about him?
No.
Exactly. Because he's the leader. And it may be, so one of these guys is taking the lead. Okay? Now, the one who's taking the lead needs to be the one you co-opt. And why? Because before it didn't matter so much. I mean, they kind of chose. The reason is because this is the guy who's pounding at you first, right? And so he's the most dangerous. So if you can, you want to co-opt him. So when I may want to kind of turn into him and do some things with him, I can't do that because of this, right? Again, I have to be counterintuitive. And when he's punching, I need to, here, do it again. I may need to feed. I need to actually turn towards him. When he does the punch, this elbow comes here. It may cause him to gasp a little bit or not. I don't really care. The purpose is I'll continue to take that punch, and that with that elbow, it makes him go over me. As slowly as we were going, it makes him go over me into the other guy. Okay, do you see that? Let's do that one more time. This is just an example, but I want you to understand you can't do, just like before, you can't do the stuff that's like intuitive to you after all these years of jiu-jitsu. You have to really keep it so when he comes in, yeah, in this case he's down on one knee. For safety's sake, I'm going to take the first one into the second one. Now you come over here. Come over here. Okay, now see, because I did this, you're not really feeling like you can kick me at this point, are you? Yeah. Because you're afraid of hitting Barry a little bit, aren't you? And he's going to interfere with your kick at this point, right? Right? But you're doing watchful waiting, right? You're waiting for your chance to get a shot at me, right? So he's just waiting. Exactly. Coach, put me in, coach. Right? He's waiting. So this comes here, turn it here. This elbow comes up into the side of his ribs as I rotate under him into the other guy. Okay? Now, depending what happens to him, I may or may not have that chance to get up, right? And in this case, he went that way. So what do? Is I go this way. What's the matter?
It hurts.
Oh, okay. What I do is I don't just move this way. I continue to use him. I went here, fed him this way. As I rotated the wrist, okay, that actually helped me get up, but only because I had Barry co-opting you from coming to me. You're still doing that watchful waiting. You had to dodge and whatever. Okay? So we have a little bit of time to feel for that, but the principles, what I want you to understand is you have to, the guy who's, most likely you always have to play odds, right? Most likely with the two guys pounding at you when you're down, one guy's got the lead because he's got the more advantageous position on you from a pounding perspective. The other guy's waiting for his shot. So the guy who's pounding on you has to be stopped first, because after you've been beaten to a bloody pulp, it's hard to co-opt anybody before you commit. Okay? So that guy who's pounding on you, you've got to take him and make sure you turn him into the other person. And in order to keep him from collapsing on you, you've got to make him not want to collapse on you by doing two things. One, I don't want to just roll. Because if I blocked him and I just roll, he's on me, and that's not really good. Okay? So one, I want to scoot under. Okay? So I've changed where his center of gravity is compared to me. Number two, even here he might still collapse on me, right? Okay? So that's still not good for the home team, even though I'm in a little better position, right? Okay, back up now. It's still not good for the home team. So what I want to do is, even as I scoot under, I have to create that space for me. And if worse comes to worse, this, what is this? A wrist and fist hangs onto my chest as I scoot under. And he will go over. Okay? If I actually have to do that to create the bridge in the space, he can't collapse on me if I create space and keep the space. So we're tight. We're tight we're tight, because you need to be tight to throw them. Notice how tight our bodies are, but as we do this, I create the space, keeping us tight. Look how skin tight. And I can just literally roll him over without anything with this hand because of this and being tight to him. Okay?
But when it's in my side, I really want to go over.
Oh, I know you do. That's my point, but my point is my point. But even if I don't get it exactly in his side, because again, life doesn't work the way we always want it to, let's just say, come here for a second. And let's say I don't get in the side, we got in his chest, and I rotate under, he's still going over. Even if it's in his chest. Ideally, if I can get in that pressure point and that nerve point in the side, that's awesome. But even if not, I just want you to understand it still works. And if my elbow if things are getting in danger, collapse it onto, what's this, my chest. So I have a tripod. Okay, a nice stable, or a bipod anyway, I guess. Nice stable kind of thing. Right? Practice it. Practice. I just want you to get the sense. Put you in a disadvantageous position with that second person. Any of you notice that happening? Right? That, to me, when I first started getting into that, was the beginning of my learning, was the recognition that my one-on-one was not the same as my 2 or 3-on-1. Okay? So let's now take that same situation and let's program it down a little bit. Now that maybe you got a little bit of the confusion and a chance to sort of feel for what happened, let's program that down a little bit. So if I can have 2 ukis, okay, 2 ukis, okay, so and they're going to be in front of me like before, and we're going to do this from a little more programmed position where one of them starts, and we're going to make this easy first. Okay, starts with a punch with an outside hand. Okay, an outside hand. So when he punches with the outside hand, I know not to go inside now, right? Because I've seen what happens, right? Is I'm totally open for him, right? So when he punches with that outside hand, even if it's a roundhouse, I've got to be inside. So now I've got hold on, I've got this moment, right? And what I want to do is use the moment. You seize the moment, right? Carpe diem, right? I want to seize the moment to not only take him down, but use that to prepare for him. So I have to know where he is here, and I'll seize the moment. So what I want you to do is we'll do this one, just a roundhouse to the face, boom, okay? He's doing a roundhouse to the face. I want to be outside, and there it is, break the elbow. Okay, so what I did was I went around, fed it in. Notice, where am I with him? I allow him to continue on through with the punch, and I'll just break the elbow. It should be right there. Okay? Hi, you all done that? Something like that before? Hi? So that's what I want you to do. But notice where I am. Here I've put my distance. There it is. Sensei Kirby last night talked about when the guy's behind you, what's the first thing you do? Step away as you turn around. Right? So while I stayed close to this guy, I stepped away from this guy, increased my distance. Break the elbow. Hi, it's got me into him. He's continuing to come now. He's trying to find that spot. See, he had to come around the break. He had to come around that guy. Going back. Okay, and he had to come around that guy. And all right, fine. You want to use that inside because you're right-handed. That's your right hand. Excellent. Okay, so he's coming around that break. I can still use this now. What I have to please stay there for a second. I cannot now ignore him and do what I want to do, boom, with something like this, because I put myself in a position against this guy. And remember, breaking his elbow is a nice start, but I can't take the time to finish him off. Remember, even when you do a good throw, you always do some kind of finish, right? I can't take that time because I've got the second guy, so I can't ignore him. So even when he came in like this, boom, and I fed it over, I've got to increase this distance just to make sure that number one, Sensei Barry, number one, doesn't have an opportunity. And even as I put him away, I'm going to keep that distance, right? put him away, keep that distance. Okay, so let's just program it that way. We're going to have a roundhouse punch, block, feed, break. And then here, turn, turn. So I keep the distance. I am, number one is, I don't need to keep you in pressure, sorry. So number one is away from me, in front. I've used number two now to block out number one, so number two is my co-opter before, as I committed to him. Everybody got that? Let's just do that. And the key is focus on where is that other person.